Hello, friends! Please be aware that this podcast is intended for adult audiences. It's rated E for explicit language, not E for everyone. If you are looking for a Hudson and Rex podcast,
if you're looking for a Star Wars podcast,
are you looking for a Hudson and Rex podcast still?
I feel like you are. Or are you looking for a Star Trek podcast?
Oh,
either way,
this is not the podcast for you.
For you.
I'm Sara.
For us.
It's for us. Just us. Justice.
Just us.
I'm Sara. That's Haley. And we welcome you to Rewind, a Star Trek podcast. Folks, before we get going on a whole whack of jibber jabber and absolute nonsense, we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Fansets. You know who Fansets are. They create those great trick pins and pins from the world of Scooby-Doo and Irwin Allen and Harry Potter. Got a chance to meet these people when I was in Vegas, and the stuff was just gorgeous. And love that they support us, and we love supporting them. And to help keeping that with going on, because I can barely talk, is buy some stuff. And then go in with that special code, Trek Geeks, all in caps, with no spaces at checkout, and you'll get yourself an extra 10% off your order. Just do it already. What's your problem? You got to do this. I mean, it's the smart thing to do, especially this time of year, because holidays are coming, and you know you want to get your friend a pretty bitchin' pin from Fansets. Thank you, Fansets. Their pins have character. Round table.
Round table.
I would love for you to start the round table section, please. I'm gonna have a gummy bear.
Do it. I'm so happy that I'm a gummy bear. So I got nothing really super exciting. Someone went on a little trip to a little convention that we'll get to after that. But what do I have? What's new and exciting? I started swimming. John got me swimming in the ocean. So there's like this area near downtown where I live / we live, and it's about 2-kilometer walk. They've totally cleaned up like this inlet. It's beautiful. They've got like a dock and a floating dock far away that you can swim to.
This isn't where the cruise ships come in, then.
No.
That would not be safe.
That is not safe, and it is not clean. So yeah, I've been like swimming every day, and the water temperature is like, well, it's the ocean, so it's like slightly cooler than you would expect, but it's also in an inlet, so there's like warmer water on the top. We did make the mistake of going in once when the tide was coming in, and it was like it was so freaking freezing. Plus, we were getting pushed away.
Oh gosh! Now, is this a busy spot? Are other people hip to the jive?
Okay. Totally, and like dogs, people with paddle boards, people with just like a blow up donut with a drink holder in it. Everyone is super chill, like kids, older people swimming on their own, people just like going to check it out. Like it's just lovely. Awesome. So I've been doing that. Yeah. So it's been super nice. You can't see the bottom, which I hate. But, and so I don't actually put my legs like straight down because I'm sure, I don't know, human hands are going to grab me. I saw a seal.
Ooh.
I know.
You saw the singer or?
Oh, I wish. Well, it could have been from far away. My vision isn't that good, but he's still holding his breath. If, yeah.
Name one other song you did.
Crazy. There's actually, you know what? One of the first times John and I kind of hung out, we were on Kitts Beach, and this guy was playing like Seal's greatest hits. He played like the whole CD.
Amazing.
I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this song. Dude, this guy's amazing. And then I like wondered what he did to Heidi Klum to make him or her leave. I don't know. It's not my business.
That's not your business.
But anyway, so that's going on. I'm doing a lot of outdoorsy things. I have like a sandal tan on my
Oh
feet.
my God.
I've never in my life, never. Anyway,
Someone's not wearing their
loving it.
socks with their sandals.
I know that's for fall. Speaking of which, can you even believe it's September tomorrow?
Oh, fuck
Oh, get
yes.
your
Thank
white out.
God. I've already started making Halloween decorations and I'm not even going to be home for Halloween.
That is so funny.
I don't give a shit. I'm just ready for it. It's been hot.
Awesome. It's
It's
been
been
so hot.
hot and it's like I love the summer. Don't get me wrong. It's just that it's the end of it now and all my plants and flowers are dead and it's just
Yeah.
unfresh at this point. I want
Fresh.
some, it's not fresh. Like I go for a
And we
walk
need
in the woods and
rain.
it's like you just run too fast, you're gonna spark a fire and burn the place down. Like it's just, I want fresh West Coast rain, forest, foggy. I want that for a few months, and then when December 1st hits, I want to jump to April or March. I just don't, I don't want the bullshit
Yeah.
of January, February where it's freezing cold. Christmas is over, you're paying your Christmas bills.
Your Christmas bills. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Do you have a favorite time of year?
Um, I do love late spring, early summer, just because like now that I have a backyard and a garden, I get really excited that things are starting to blossom and it starts to look pretty because it's the end of a depressing winter and you're gonna have like a lot of time ahead of you, some nice like lighter days. But there is something about spooky season that I love. Like I like
Yeah.
September, October because I think of like when I was a kid, it'd be like an exciting new school year, new TV shows. Like it's kind of a new year for. I always look at September 1st as
I
the new
always think
year.
I think so too. Yeah, I always think so too. I try to do a little bit of like I don't know, like I always remember like in school like trying to like reinvent yourself like maybe this is the year that I won't be bullied. Um,
This is the year that I finally lose a little bit of weight.
is that true, Frank?
Yeah, Frank's put on a couple of pounds. Hey, buddy. Yeah.
He doesn't care.
He wants me to
He's,
keep
I know
petting
he's
him.
like, I'm not done.
I'm not
I
gonna
put
keep
my arm
scratching.
on you.
That's what you got going on.
That's all
You're
I
an
got.
outdoor girl. You're doing
I'm
good.
an
You're
outdoor
feeling
girl
good. You're
now.
looking good.
Yeah.
Love it. So far, I am COVID free because a few people have tested positive that were there. I took my test yesterday. So that's that. Fingers
That's
crossed it
good.
stays that way. I hope nobody else gets
Yeah.
sick or anything. But, it's Vegas and it's. I'll keep talking about me first. Work is work. I bought my tickets for Disneyland this morning. So when we go back on our trip in November, we're going to Disneyland for 2 days. And I just decided to get a hotel too, just so we can be like right there and we can
Hell
actually get our
yeah.
full money's worth instead of Ubering or driving or not being able to drink because we want to go to this Trader Sam's Tiki Bar and they make them strong there and we want to be able to see the fireworks. So I figured get like one of the cheaper hotels that's right by there for the one night
Totally.
because we're staying with Juana Maria. So I'm very excited for that. And as a result, I want to do a rewatch of multiple Disney animations. So I'm started with Snow White on my
Oh
lunch
my
break today,
gosh.
and I'm gonna do that and watch like a bunch of them and just go like I made the joke about like, okay, I was in Star Trek mode, now I'm in Disney mode, and then for Christmas it's Harry Potter mode. So that's
I
that's where
like
I'm
it.
at. I
I
like
like
it
it.
too. Okay, Vegas. First
Oh,
thing I will say about Vegas is I I've always been a big fan of the city of Las Vegas in Nevada, in the state of Nevada in America. Um, it is so much more stupid expensive now than ever before, and it's dirtier than ever before, and
oh,
absolutely scarier than ever before. I did not enjoy a single second of being outside walking from a hotel to another hotel.
you're
Um,
kidding.
I whether you're being accosted by people trying to sell you something or sign you up for something, or you're navigating around the homeless population, or you're witnessing people screaming at other people, kind of like you'd see in downtown Victoria, people who maybe have mental health issues or substance abuse issues. It is so much more prevalent than it ever used to be. I just didn't enjoy being outside. there's a lot of sky like walkways and stuff, and we took the monorail one time, we Ubered a couple times, but it was just like it's sad. It's really sad.
Oh
And
no.
I yeah, and everything's just like you go to the little gift shop and a bottle of beer is $8 and you sit at the bar, you get a Bloody Mary and it's $16. So we would just run over to the Stagecoach, which is like a very sketchy little corner store right next door to Bally's, because they had dollar little bottles of vodka, dollar
Perfect.
little things of Clamato, and we made our own
Yeah.
Bloody Marys in the room with our cups, and then we got like super cheap beers there and stuff. But like going over there was literally across the street, and it was scary. Um, that's all I'll say about that. Okay, so I'm gonna do
Can
point
you
form. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Star Trek Las Vegas point form, baby. Day one, Thursday. All flights were delayed, but in the end, it only got us an hour late to Vegas. So
Oh,
we arrived
phew.
in Vegas like at 1:30. We were up in the room at 2.
Mm.
First thing we did was we bought some Bud Lights and a pack of menthols. And then we checked in, and the kiosk machine didn't work, and we had to line up. And we were so mad because we'd been jerked around all day with lines and all that kind of stuff. And then I turned my head, and who do I see for the first time ever in real life? Bill Smith
Oh,
getting coffee.
who knew?
And
Did he know you were going to be there?
he
What
knew
are
I
the
was going to be there. They all knew I was going to be there.
odds?
And yeah, what are the odds? Oh my God, what are you? Is it
What
anybody
are
in
you
this place?
doing here?
Oh my God, I'm here for a Star Wars convention. No. Um, and then we did not do convention stuff, but we did our COVID check that day because it was really fast and easy, and they just wanted proof of vaccination.
Nice.
And then we went to Best Friends at the MGM Resort for dinner. And this is the place, the chef Roy from
Okay.
that
Yep.
show, Chef Show. He's the one who
Yep.
invented or he created the Kogi truck, one of the first like successful food trucks in LA that does like the Korean barbecue and Korean fusion and stuff. Oh my God. We decided just to spend the money and get like the sample of like almost all the stuff. We had slippery shrimp, we had kimchi fried rice, we had barbecue pork and chicken and all these like pickled things, and it was so good. Like I couldn't even move after.
Oh,
It was so good. It was
I'm
such a
so
nice
happy to hear
meal.
it.
Yeah. Because you go to these places, you're like, oh, it's gonna be awesome. And then you're like, oh, it
Like a Gordon
disappointed. This place
Ramsay
was
restaurant.
right.
It
Exactly.
was fine.
Oh my God. Day two. I was second in line for a photo op with Mr. Ethan Peck.
Mm,
And let's
mm,
talk about those
mm,
pecs. This guy's
mm.
ripped. He is taller than I anticipated. He's a
Okay.
bigger, like muscly more than I anticipated. He is beautiful, and I don't know what else to say about it. Like
That
and I felt so bad though because I made friends in line because like the what was the size of the room for the photo op lineups? It would think of like the size of how like ESB was L shaped. We had like our
yeah.
back corner where we had the puzzle table. They think of like
Yeah.
that one side, like not very large. And this is where they were trying to navigate. Like I think they had like 20 photo ops in one day or 40 photo ops in one day that two volunteers had to try and organize. And the lineups were all zigzagging and everyone's hot because you had to wear a mask in there and the AC was crap at Bally's, which never happens. And
Oh.
I just kept being like, because I wanted to be first in a photo for him because I knew things were running behind and I didn't want to be waiting in line for an hour just to be told, sorry, you're going to have to come back tomorrow, right? Like I had my schedule plan that I was like, I'm doing it today because he was scheduled to do photo ops at like 3:30 and he was on stage with the rest of the Stranger Worlds people at 4:30, right? And I was
Okay.
like, it's an
Yeah.
hour. Like this is his first like STLV, I think. It's going to be busy.
Yeah.
So I made friends with people and in line, and we kind of just created the line. We're like, we're starting Ethan Peck right here, and the guy was like, perfect, thank you. And we're like, okay. And so I waited for like an hour. There was no mirror in the little room, and they like made all these other people wait forever for photos, and then they like cut it off, and they were all so mad. Like I saw people meltdown at this convention, like at the people that worked for creation. Like I saw people swearing and be like, "This fucking bullshit!" Like just like people that were gold that were supposed to have priority getting like mad, and people like bitch. Like it was so unorganized. And I don't know if it was
Holy
because they
shit,
didn't have enough.
creation.
I don't know if it's that they didn't have enough volunteers, because I saw them put out a post like 2 days before, like, we want to hire some more people to help organize and set up. And then because it was Bally's and Bally's was small and Bally's was awkward, like, I don't know what it was, but it was terrible communication throughout the whole thing. And a lot of people got really mad that they missed out on photos or autographs, or they waited in line only to be told after an hour that it's like, sorry, they're done. Um, anyway, I got my photo and he was handsome, and I said, he's like, hi, how are you? I'm like, and I didn't know if there was touching or not, because some people had
Yeah.
plexiglass, some had masks, and then some didn't have anything. He had nothing. So he put his arm right around me, and he was like, how are you? I'm like, I'm great. And then after I
Great
was like, thanks
now.
for coming. And he's like, thank you for coming. And I should have said, that's what she said, or name of your sex tape. But I was so flustered, and I was literally almost physically pushed out of there so they could get the next person in. So I was like, oh, next time. And then I picked up my photo, and I fucking hate it. And it's like, why do I do photo ops? Hate, I hate it. Like I almost cried when I saw the photo. That's how much I hated it. And I was so bummed, but whatever.
Oh
I
no.
have the
Well,
photo.
I was thinking the same thing, and that's why I was asking if Chris was doing the
He
photographs, because
was.
I that's so cool. I was just like, he's a decent photographer. We've had good photos of him in the past, except for the one with Brent Spiner, and he know
Mm,
what he did. And I'm talking Brent, not Chris.
yeah.
Anyway, I also wonder why we go for photo ops instead of just like an autograph. And I
I
think
know.
it's like we want more evidence that we touched them than just like a piece. I don't fucking want a piece of paper with your ink on it. I don't, what am I going to do with that?
Exactly. I know.
So it's almost like, can't there just be like an in between where like we just meet them
Yeah,
outside of the convention?
I know. Went to Margaritaville
Nice.
for a snack and a happy hour.
Had to do
Saw
it.
Anson Mount, Rebecca Romay, him, and all the other folks that were there on stage, and they were awesome. I saw them on stage by myself because then after that, I had to zip to an Uber and run to meet Brad because we had tickets to an NFL preseason game. It was the Patriots versus the Raiders. And
What?
we had seats that were like practically on the damn field. Like we had really good seats for the football game. So
Oh
we
my
watched the
God.
football game, and then after we were gonna Uber over to Tommy Rockers, which is like an off the strip restaurant near the Rio. That was where the Fan Geeks party was. The Trek Geek slash Fan Sets party.
Yeah.
And getting an Uber outside of that place was like not happening. So we walked in the dark, in the hot, to Tommy Rockers. It took about a half hour.
Whew.
It was not sketchy, which was good.
That's
But
good.
man, oh man, we get in there. The place was packed. The Trek Geeks event had already been happening for about an hour at that point. It took forever to get a beer. The two people working like were avoiding eye contact. Like they were so slammed. They did not anticipate having a busy group of people, even though these guys booked it like ages in advance. But either
Yeah.
way, it was a success anyways. Doug Jones was there, as were a
Oh,
few other folks from Discovery, which is pretty cool. We grabbed beers and we sat down with the guys from Divine Treasury, who we worked with. Mike
nice.
Jamie and Bill and Dan were there, obviously, and um, Marina was there, and yeah, a bunch of people. Like it was a sold out event, even though you didn't pay for tickets. But um,
Yeah.
then there was a really really crappy band playing, like guy playing in the background, which was super awkward, but yeah, it was fun. And that was day two. Oh, and after that, we Ubered to the Cosmopolitan and got secret pizza.
Nice.
This
I'm
this is
glad
where
you did that.
this is where we talk about the Star Trek convention. All I talk about is the food, and nothing about the Star Trek convention.
This is what giant Parmesan crisp. Like this is what
Right?
we do.
This is what we
Carrot
do.
coins.
Carrot coins. Okay, I'm gonna turn this one off because we're running out of
Okay.
time, and I'll start a new one. And we're back.
Woohoo.
Stupid Zoom.
I
Okay,
know.
day 3. Stood in line for my photo with Ron Perlman. I was the third person to get a photo with Ron Perlman. I did the same thing as the other time. I was like, I am not risking missing out on seeing the cast from Picard on stage
Hmm.
because of that. Then we went to Raising Cane's for lunch. That's that chicken strip place that I love. Oh my God.
I don't care. You have to tell me more about Ron.
Okay, so we were inside the room where the photos happened when he like walked out and he like stood there and like he looked at me and I looked at him. He had a nice button-up shirt on. He seemed chill and just like I'm here to collect a paycheck and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So when my time for a photo came up, he was just kind of like, "Hey." And I was like, "Ugh." He didn't razzle dazzle me like Ethan did, but I would never expect Ron Perlman to razzle dazzle either. He's not that kind of guy.
No,
But
it's
on
true.
stage, he was fucking hilarious. Brad and I were busting a gut. He was like trying to hawk his book. He's like, I'll be out in the parking lot selling books out of my trunk of my car. I'll knock off the tax. Buy 10, get one free. Um, he
Did he
basically,
write a new book?
no, it's the one that's been around for Easy Street, the one's been around for a while.
That must be
But,
awkward for
but
his new
somebody like,
wife.
people came up to the stage and were asking about like, oh, you worked in a movie with Marlon Brando. What's it like? He's like, I could tell you about it, but just read the book. There's more detail in it.
Oh my
And
God.
they're going through his body of work, and it's like, oh, Quest for Fire, and he's like, yeah, I was in that. Like, he was such a smart ass. It was
Yeah, I
amazing,
was
and he
in that.
slagged on Nemesis. He like because someone made a comment about like the director, like a lot of people had complained
Yeah,
about the
yeah, the
director not
director's
being
piece of
great, right?
shit. The
And he was
director's
just
piece of
like,
shit.
well, he gave it his best effort, but his best effort wasn't much, or whatever. Like he said something that was pretty like good.
Oh my God.
And then a woman was at the microphone and was like, "Oh, something about being intimidated or being gentle," or it's like, don't be rough because he had made a joke earlier about being, and he's like, that's what they start off saying, and it was very much an innuendo that women start off saying don't be rough, but then it changes. And she was like, thanks for being gentle, and it was like, oh my God, if Haley was here, she would have lost her shit. He was so funny.
I'm so glad I wasn't there because, okay, well, first of all, I probably wouldn't be drinking, so like I'd have a little bit of like common sense. But also I would probably say some things like I've said in those rooms with the stage,
Mm,
like you both look good or whatever. It would be it would be one of those situations where
yeah.
like I would be laughing extra hard and extra loud, and then he would make fun of it, and then like you'd find my body the next day in a culvert. Anyway, it's fine.
I would suggest that you do a YouTube search to see if anybody recorded it and
Wow, like
posted
that
it.
good,
He was
eh?
funny. He
Good
was
for
really funny.
him.
Yeah,
I wonder if he'll
he's
come back.
I don't know. The first question that the audience was some guy, the costume that you wore as Shinzon, because he kind of made note to the fact that he's one of those actors that's really well known for being able to do tons of makeup and be able to still do their job, right? Kind of like Doug Jones.
Yeah,
Like Ron Perlman was like the Beauty and the Beast, Quest for Fire, like all these prosthetics. Like he was been a very heavily prosthetic character for a long time.
true.
And the guy was kind of like, so have you ever had sex in the outfit, or like the Shinzon, or whatever character he was for
He was
Nemesis? And
the
he's like,
viceroy.
the Viceroy. He's like, did you have sex in your costume or in your makeup? And he just like looks at the guy, he starts laughing, and he's like, fuck no. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Not
Good,
gonna lie,
good. I'm really pleased.
he was the
That's good.
highlight, to be honest.
You know what?
Um,
I have to tell you. So I have his book.
yeah,
Can you give me like 2 minutes, one like 30 seconds to pee, and then like a minute and 30 seconds to find something in that book?
I will
It's worth
pause.
it.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
So you couldn't find what you wanted in the book. Classic
Okay.
Haley. Good thing we
So
paused and didn't have a long stretch of silence of me
okay.
just chewing.
There is a story about this book. I flew all the way to Hawaii to get this book. Granted, I was already going there for a vacation, but I flew to Hawaii. I went to frickin' like Barnes and Noble or whatever that store was, if it's even in existence anymore. I had ordered it online before it was even a thing, and like picked it up, like opened it poolside, and I see this like slag against Star Trek in the first few pages, and I
Damn it,
go,
Ron.
I was like, motherfucker, are you fucking kidding me?
Ugh.
Um, And it was
What a guy.
about, it was like the usual like Star Trek fans are nerds or something incorrect about Star Trek. Like anyway, I just kind of thought, Ron, what the fuck? Anyway, I guaranteed would have brought that up at the
Yeah,
convention.
right.
Yeah.
After that, we went to this party at the Delano, and this was hosted by a lovely couple, Amy and Simon, who had donated graciously to that Feed the Hollywood event. Remember the Trek Geeks guys did that big fundraiser with John Billingsley, Doctor who played Phlox.
Yeah,
They did like
yeah,
that online. Like, so she was one of the big donors, and so she wanted to do like a little party and kind of kick off Trek Talks too. So it was open bar and lots of snacks, a beautiful view, and John Billingsley was there, Sirach Lofton was there, Anthony
yeah.
Montgomery was there, Rod Roddenberry stopped by,
Nice.
and Mike, Jamie, me, and Brad were the last to leave because we got wrapped up talking to her. She spent years, retired from, I think, working at Skywalker Ranch. She knows George Lucas.
Say
She knows Steven Spielberg.
what?
She had so many cool stories. She was such a nice lady, as was her
Aw,
husband and their little dog. I think it was Jimmy. Jimmy was in the other room, and he was like, kind of came out all
cute.
sleepy looking. We're like, oh, it's our cue to go. We should go. And Jimmy looks like he's ready for bed. Um, it was super fun. Brad
Aw.
Brad did a classic Brad dick move. So so it wasn't really busy. It was mostly podcast personalities, like Yvette and Sabrina from Sci-Fi Sisters were there. Mike and Jamie, John Champion was there, and Heather was there. So lots of people from the podcast community and other people who supported the fundraiser, right? And
Yeah.
so like Sirach and Anthony and them were just like kind of hobnobbing with everybody and just asking questions. And people are coming up to Brad, like, so who are you? What do you do? And he's like, I'm here with her. Like, she's the Star Trek person. He's like, I don't know who I'm talking to. He didn't know he was talking to the kid from Deep Space Nine. He didn't know he was talking to the guy from Enterprise. He had no idea.
Aw,
Rod
yeah.
Roddenberry is like goes over to him and he's like, "Oh hey, I'm Rod. I'm Rod. What's your name?" He's like, "Oh, I'm Brad." He's like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Brad." And Brad's like, "So what do you do?" And Rod's like, "Not much." Rod's like, "Cool." I'm like, "You're such a dick." I'm like, "That's Rod Roddenberry." He's like,
What do you
"Oh, okay." He has no fucking clue. He's like, yeah, it's
do?
like, "What do you do?" Like, you're such a
What do you do?
like. I can't take you fucking anywhere, man. You're so
No doubt.
embarrassing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that
Good
was
for
that
him.
class act all the way. And after that, because it was open bar, we were feeling a little loosey goosey, not too bad. Maybe I was fine, but I think Brad was. I think he imbibed. We went to In-N-Out Burger late, and
Nice.
as we were walking down that walkway at the link to go to
Yeah.
the In-N-Out
Yeah.
Burger, Robert Beltran walked by, and I was like, "Oh, Chicote!" Brad's like,
Talk
"Who
about
the
a
fuck is
neck
that? Who's
snapper.
Chipotle?" And you want to go to Chipotle? I'm like, "It's Chipotle. Get out of here! This is why you have to come to the convention next year, not him. He's
Yeah.
just going to offend
Yeah.
everybody and not take it seriously."
Oh,
He's like Ron Perlman. He's just slagging it all. No, it's pretty
no
funny.
doubt. So what do you do? Oh, that's so
Fucking
good.
classic. Um, and I met actually two really nice girls there. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but I've added them on social media. They're cosplayers, and they were quite
Cool.
close with the guys from Nerd Trek, right? It's,
Yep. Yep.
Jeff and the crew, and the one girl really wanted to meet Rod, and she was really really nervous. I'm like, forget about it. You're not going to embarrass yourself. We've already done that. We were at a party at the Mirage, and Haley's like had the spray from the bathroom and said it's from the bathroom, and like Jeff was like, I remember this story I heard on the podcast, and I was like, oh my god,
Fuck.
our stories are
It's
out there, and it's
true.
real.
Well, and like I had no shame. I mean, I think that was the first time I had been in a bathroom with an attendant with multiple items to choose from, and I was like,
Yeah,
holy shit. Like I've been in a bathroom with just like an attendant before, but then I was like, wait a second, like I can use this.
I
And then
know.
yeah, then when he was like, "Oh, you smell good." I'm like, "Thanks, it's from the bathroom." Shut up.
Shut up!
Shut
Don't push her in the pool.
up. Oh my God.
Oh, it was so
$22 Bud
hot.
Light.
Oh
Oh,
man,
the sweating.
the sweating. It was so
The
gross. Yeah.
me crying when Evan left because I didn't think he would make it home. He's like, I'll just walk. I'm like, you're at the fucking Mirage. You're staying at the Hilton. You can't just walk. You have to. Anyway, he made it. Fuck.
I'm glad you confirmed that for everybody years later.
Yeah.
Ugh. Can you believe that that was 10, 12 years ago? That was like 11 years ago,
That was
12
such
years
a long
ago.
time ago.
God,
Did
you're
you
just
guys
baby.
go to the Pepper Mill?
No, I've never been. Still haven't been.
You know
We
what? It's
thought
not
about it.
worth it. It's not worth it. It's just fun to go to just because it's from that show,
Yeah,
Gigolos.
yeah. Um,
You want a podcast about gigolos? This
how
is
about
the
juggalos?
podcast for you.
Uh, yeah. On day 4, we went to Bubba Gump Shrimp,
Yay.
and Batista's for dinner. I saw some of the Voyager cast on stage, walked the vendor room, and then the Rat Pack show for dessert. I mean, that's
And
life.
what a dessert. Oh, when
Oh,
you fucking sent
man.
me that video, I was seriously like peeing crying. Not
Oh,
really, but you know.
yeah. Nana Visitor
Oh,
joined them and sang this year.
that's so
Yeah,
lovely.
it was terrible. Like in all the best ways. Like it's the same
Cool.
fucking jokes, the same fucking
Yep.
people, the same fucking songs. I love it. I love it. It's like the
Yep.
highlight. Like I was like shaking my head and like palm to head, like embarrassed how much I loved it. And Brad was just like laughing because he remembered the songs from the
Yes.
other times. But like I think in general, it was it was disappointing of a convention. Like I
Too
don't
bad.
I mean, the vendor room was terrible. It was so small and they had so much of the space dedicated to the autographs that they were like but they were significant autographs. So these people were lined up blocking vendors' tables from people wanting to buy stuff because they were lined up for Sinico Martin Green. They were lined up for Anson Mount. They were lined up for Jonathan Frakes. And those aren't small lines. And
No.
you're trying to sell your stuff at your booth and like people are blocking it and the Trick Geeks guys were in the corner and it was not a very big space for them. I helped out at the table a little bit. It was fun. It was, I mean, that was the highlight was seeing people in person, like
Yeah.
getting to meet the guys from the Nerd Trek podcast. Like I said, Jeff, Dave, and Phil, Yvette and Sabrina from Sci-Fi Sisters, Bill and Dan and Casey, Mike, Emily, and Jamie. Ran into Baron, saw
Yeah, so
Marina, and
awesome.
then last minute ran into Mark.
Oh, Mark.
Right? So
Hey.
awesome. And he was more interested to hear about like Brad and are you guys going to SEMA this year? And like
Yeah,
apparently he
yeah,
has a
yeah.
house in Vegas now. He goes back and forth.
Good for
So
him.
yeah, so he seemed like he was doing quite well. I found him on Facebook and added him because I hadn't
Nice.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I was like
Such a nice guy.
such
This
a
poor
nice
guy.
guy. Oh man. Your fucking
Oh,
girlfriend sent me a fucking death threat. Anyway,
oh,
that was
oh my
years ago too.
God.
But yeah, it was another reminder of like why did I spend $300-400 to sit in a convention hall that I just couldn't wait to walk out of so I could go to Bubba Gump Shrimp or so
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to go see my friends, right? Like
Yep.
I
Yep.
find that I'm just I've seen everybody that I want to see, I've seen on stage, except for a few, like the newer people. And I got to see them and I stayed for those panels, like the Strange New Worlds and Discovery people I hadn't seen on stage. But the fan questions
Mm,
always bug me.
yeah.
Everything was running behind and the schedules were terrible. And even though I'm pro mask and pro vaccine, I was very uncomfortable wearing a mask for those long extended periods of time in a room that wasn't very well ventilated. It was hot and it was uncomfortable.
Oh,
And
that's not
I
right.
just was like, yeah, I like the convention for the people and the parties and the
Yeah.
podcasting and the networking. I think I would probably never do a photo op again. I would do autographs just because then you get to have something that you take away and then you can always resell it later for cash. Um,
No.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
But it was I like
Interesting.
I was it was also kind of a bummer because like there was barely anybody from TNG was there. Jonathan Frakes and
Yeah.
Gates were the only ones. John Delancey canceled last minute. There was no Marina, no Dorn, no Brent, no LeVar. which was kind of a bummer.
Oh, yeah.
But I saw Sneeko walking down the hallway, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Sneeko!" And she turned and said hi, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like she's like so cool.
Yeah.
I've loved her since she was on The Walking Dead. And I
Awesome.
kind of like I went and supported the podcast panel, and I got there a bit early because I wanted to make sure I had a good seat so I could get photos and stuff. And I was listening to the guy from NASA talking about the Artemis launch, which didn't happen sadly, but talking
Hmm.
about space. And I'm like, this is more what I want to do. Like the next couple times is the quieter room with the smaller crowds where you actually get a good seat and like listen to some of the cool scientific panels. Like I've never really taken advantage of that. And I was like really like
Yeah.
totally into it. I also think that creation people seemed you're on vacation. Like
Yeah.
this was our first vacation post COVID, even though COVID still exists, but like, our first vacation. So I really wanted to have some fun and relax too. So that's why I also like held back on doing so much convention stuff because it's like Brad's there, let's do some stuff. So we went to the NFL game, we did some wandering around and, played some slots or whatever, drank and had fun. But like I watched so many people running and stressing and freaking out because you literally have four things happening at the same time every day, 4 days. You have the main stage,
Yeah.
you have photo ops, you have autographs, and you have the secondary theater. And there's actually two secondary theaters. There was one that had like the science stuff and one that had like fan base stuff. And so if you're trying to see any panel, but you're lined up for this, you're lined up for that, or you're trying to get this, then they're moving it last minute. And they didn't do
Hmm.
booklets because they couldn't get their schedule organized fast enough. So they're using an app, and that
Oh,
app, the
that's
Wi-Fi was
garbage.
shitty. So the amount of money I probably
Hmm.
spent on data, like it was just like you're just doing too much. Like I don't like that they boast over 130 guests. I'm like, that's too fucking many.
It
You
is
should have
too
50
many.
guests. Like, and you should
Yeah.
spread it out that on like Wednesday, Thursday, this is the day for, the scientific panels and these people. If you want to come early for that, you come early for that. Then they make this day the Deep Space Nine day, and the autographs, the photos, the people are that day. And then like, or find a way
Yeah.
to break it
Yeah.
down so that you don't have to play Sophie's Choice every fucking hour. Like that's why I don't take advantage of all those extra things, is because it's just impossible. Like I spent an hour and a half standing in line to specifically get my photo ops first because I knew I'd miss out on seeing people on stage because of my photo ops and because they went over and they were an hour late, or this one was moved to the next day last minute and people didn't buy a ticket for that day. And it's just like you're paying so much. Starts to talk about Saudi Arabia and the guy's like, whoa. And I was like, Brad's pretty impressive if he lets himself, if he's had a couple drinks, he's feeling extra confident. He's got some stories, he's got some bragging rights.
I'm in a
Okay.
couple magazines, whatever.
Because,
Okay, wait.
no big
Before I
deal.
forget, I might be going to Bangladesh.
Ooh, when, where, what, why? Tell me more.
Mid December for like a handful of days to support John on a WHO thing. It might be that like I'll actually be part of the project team and help facilitate, but basically it's to like do a simulation and exercise and for like the whole country. Anyway, so we'll see. He's talking about it with the team that would be accompanying him at 8 o'clock tonight.
Dude, that's so
I
cool.
know. I
I
know.
love it.
I know.
I know.
Oh.
Okay, let's move on. We have to talk about fisting datas. Fistful of Datas. I wrote a synopsis for you, so you can read
I
it.
saw that. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So thanks for tuning in today. We're going to be talking about Fistful of Datas. This is the synopsis that Sara read, just in case you weren't listening. Here we go. Picard is jamming out with his flute. Play Freebird! Picard is so mad he was interrupted, and in comes Geordi and Data wanting to do some intriguing experiments. Permission is granted, and Picard rushes them from his quarters so he can keep on rocking. But wait, he's interrupted again. Come, it's Bev. She wants to talk breakfast. How do you like your eggs? She leaves after insulting him with a two line role in a play. Up next is Worf, and he is unable to relax. He needs to relax. This is Worf at his sexiest by far. Worf, disgruntled and uninterested in spending any time with Alexander. He's such a dick. Also, Alexander. Ugh. Cue intro. Do I wait for the whole time that the intro?
Wash your hands. You got 8 minutes, and then we have to end this one and start another one.
All right. So here's the lowdown on what this episode is about. Alexander, Worf's much younger brother. No!
You said it. You're so wrong. Oh my God, you're so embarrassing.
How about this? Alexander, Worf's much younger son, who's also white, is demanding attention and to spend some quality time with him in the holodeck playing some country western role play. I've never been one for westerns, but when Worf struts in with those boots and that hat, well, slap me silly, pour me a whiskey, and get me a Garth Brooks concert t-shirt. I'm in. What if I want Chris Gaines instead? I'm going to keep going. You've walked away, but I'm going for it anyway. The two familiarize themselves with Deadwood or Deadtown or Tombstone, wherever the hell they are. And naturally, because Barclay helped set it up for Alexander, there is a brothel. Classic Reg.
Reg.
Always looking to get his freak on in the holodeck. What happens there stays there, except for the carpet stains. Father and Co get into things. It's too easy, and they up the difficulty level, which, if that meant it was in Spanish or everything was upside down, would be hilarious. But instead, it just gets more difficult. And then Worf is saved by the sexy, the dangerous Deanna Troi. Seriously hot in that outfit, like total babe alert. Did she say her name is Durango? Dodge Durango? Okay. So things are fine and fun until on the ship things get a bit too data, if you catch my drift. And there is very much a thing called too much data. Riker's theater lines are now an ode to Spot. People are replicating cat food left, right, and center, and classical music is now all about the place. What the fuck is going on? And now Data has a southern drawl? Oh, it gets worse. He shows up in the holodeck program multiple times, and he's locked and loaded. Fight. Oh, saddle up. Let's lock and load. Stop it. Stop that.
Just stop that.
Alexander is kidnapped. The bad guy, appearing as Data, wants his son back. The one Worf arrested in scene 1, and then Worf gets shot. It's all out of control and totally bananas. They can't end the program. They can't stay safe. Data's multiple characters have all in android strength and stamina. But of course, Geordi, the crew, and the writers work together to fix the problem. Save the day just before Worf was subjected to more affection by Data, appearing as the bartender lady who has been stalking the sheriff and slapping him all about. Worf learned a valuable lesson that he can have fun with his child, and maybe he wants a Garth Brooks t-shirt now. The end.
Great job.
That was so fun.
Oh my God. I think we have to end it there and start a new recording again. We got 5 minutes. All right. Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Well, hello. The things I do to avoid spending a little money on Zoom. Well, I was going to use the Trick Geeks one because they bought one, but then it's like, we've sent a one-time passcode to your... Well, that's not my phone number. So either Bill or Dan's getting text messages, and I'm just like, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. Was she coming on the counter? Okay, thoughts on episode. I like this episode a lot. It's not just a fistful of datas, it's also a few datas more. And I enjoy it. It's fun to see Brent stretch his acting chops and have some fun. He must have gotten so bored doing the same thing day in and day out. Same for Worf and Troy. I love him out of uniform and doing fun things and funny things. And I loved this episode when I was a kid, and it still is super fun today. It didn't annoy me. It didn't make me mad. It wasn't too much data in a bad way. It was good amount of data. I liked the storyline. I liked the cat. Um,
Yeah.
and I like that folks were just taking some time for a little like work-life balance on this ship. But I still think it should maybe have been a two-parter with Barkley coming in to save the day at the end, maybe.
Oh man, I could have gone for a two-parter for sure.
So
I have some thoughts.
please.
First, my first thought was another Beverly's Play episode.
Oh man, she's just like
So soon after Frame of Mind.
frame of mind.
Frame of Mind. Also, is that flute that Picard is practicing the one from Inner Light?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
But wasn't
Um,
there also in that was that the episode where there was also that person had a rollout piano, or was that like a different episode?
are you? I don't.
It was a different episode. I can already tell you that right now.
Okay. All right. I was not pleased to see Alexander. As a child, I hated Alexander. And as an adult, I also don't like Alexander.
What
This
don't you like about Alexander?
You know what? I haven't really unpacked this, but now I'm starting to. I think as a child, I saw him as a burden to Worf. I thought that he was annoying and distracted Worf from his duties on the ship, and I didn't think that it was fair that that Worf was a single parent and what's up, and that's kind of that. Also, just the child is annoying. I don't like his hair. I know it's traditional. I don't like it. I don't like that he was really like I think it's a holdover also from that episode with the invisible girl where I don't like him in that
Imaginary
either. The
imaginary friend.
imaginary friend.
No, it's funny you bring it up because like
But
I never liked Alexander that much either, but now as an adult and I see what a horrible father Worf is, I'm just like poor kid. Like you know what I mean? Like there's a big problem in Trek with parenting.
yeah.
None of them have kids. Like a vast majority, not one captain has had children. Like maybe there'd be an episode where randomly I found out I had a son for a day and it was wrong and it was a Romulan clone or whatever. But like Kirk, Picard, Janeway, Pike, um, Sonequa Martin Green's character, like only Cisco had a son. Beverly had a kid. Lower Decks is a mother-daughter duo on the ship. Beckett Mariner and the captain, but not a lot, which I find to be interesting because in the most plainest of ways, Starfleet is kind of a future military in a way, or like an extension of the military.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
think about military families and how much of a thing that is, and the struggles of relationships when you're away and you're distanced and you're not like, I think there's just so much to explore with
Good
that, like
point.
on Star Trek because they did it really well with Cisco. Cisco was a fantastic father. Beverly never really got a chance to really dive deep into the struggles of being a single mom whose kid is worlds away and you're in danger and
Yeah, that's true.
PTSD and the stress of this type of work. Like I think that's something we would see more now in some of the modern shows because they're more
Yeah,
willing
that's
to go
true.
there with some of the mental health and the struggles of whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just noticed that as an observation that there's never really been strong family, parent, marriage stuff.
You're so right. And I
Like
wonder if,
Disney.
yeah, or is it intentional?
I don't know.
And yeah, because it can't be intentional because, like, spoiler alert, Triker and Troy
Striker.
get married.
Yeah.
So
And they have
marriage is still
children.
an institution. They don't have children. They
They
do have two
do in
children.
Picard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well, Beverly was married and
yeah, yep. And I
but
mean,
like
Janeway, when she's catapulted into the Delta
she had
Quadrant, she had
someone.
that guy and the
The
dog.
dogs. I
Hello?
know.
What
I know.
happened to the dogs? Anyway, okay.
All right.
So I started with Alexander, double Data, and then triple Western holodeck program. Why can't I speak? I don't like Westerns. You got that right about me. So And then I have this like sort of revelation as I'm watching it. I'm like, a holodeck program that's a Western. It's basically Westworld. Westworld basically ripped off TNG. Who do we tell?
For the Batmobile.
So the program was designed by Barclay as well. I was sure Troy was in the program, and then I thought, like, I was sure, like, she showed up as a character in the program, not as herself, like, playing. Um, and then I thought, like, who's checking up on Barclay to make sure he isn't harboring any smutty coworker porno programs? Like, whose job is that? Because,
Yeah.
like, his hand was slapped, and then what was the follow up? Like,
And I hope there's like a filtration system in the holodeck that if you're like, I want to do an accurate depiction of the Wild West. So you just create yourself a bunch of brothels filled with women who have sores and syphilis and they'd have these people would smell that. Like how much accuracy are you going for in some of these programs you're doing? Because places were not so clean in the old days.
I was gonna say that it smelled like horses and dirt.
Sweat and
Right.
like it's like the Wild West. Like you're think about the desert of Vegas and there's no AC and horses and puke and it's everywhere. It's not gonna smell good. You walk out of there into the hallway to start your shift and it's like go have a shower. You were just in the holodeck. I can smell it.
I was also thinking, like, what if I want a holodeck program that involves me boiling 48 eggs? I don't know.
I'm fermenting blue cheese. It's a very slow program, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, no kidding. Did you play the egg program again? The what? Oh, yeah. Okay, two more quick pieces about my feedback on this episode. I'm sorry. The chief engineer suggested connecting the computer to data for the first time as like a whim. And there's like no analysis of potential issues. You just go for it. Also, has this never been done or considered before? Like, what do they use androids for? Also, Jordy said that the computer would have to be shut down or some shit for like 2 hours. So why is the holodeck running? Why is anything other than life support? I don't know. And then my final thought is iconic Worf smile.
Oh,
Because it is so iconic.
he's
like,
so. I thought he was so sexy in this episode. I'm starting to see the appeal of the program, and he's all like jacked up because he gets to hurt people. I love that.
I also thought it was like very like sending the wrong message, and then I was like, I am way the fuck too sensitive. Anyway, so I you know what? I thought it was fine. It had just enough datas for me, which turns out to be a fistful.
Fistful. Oh, that name. Okay, so let's do some goofs and trivia.
Yay.
I'll start us off. The original title was The Good, the Bad, and the Klingon. I don't like that. But I get what they're going for. They're trying to go with the historic.
Well, I had no idea. I was like, I know that reference. I didn't.
And you, Marconi wrote that.
I don't know what that is. I would have preferred they use that title because Fistful of Datas made me not want to watch it. Because I was like, I don't want a data episode, and it kind of wasn't. It was mostly a Worf episode.
You know what that's a play on, though, right?
Yeah. It's a fistful of dollars.
Yeah, and then there's a few dollars more. That's why like a few datas more. That's why
that was very smart. Okay. Brent Spiner had a rare treat getting to play other characters beyond. You can't see it, but now you can. Trick or treat. And then doing the Alexis hand. Brent Spiner had a rare treat getting to play other characters beyond his understated data character. He rarely got to do that in this series. He has stated at many convention appearances that his android character was very easy to play, and he actually enjoyed playing evil Lore much more. Well, yeah, Lore is also cooler.
Way cooler. Worf has been shot in the arm. When Durango wraps her bandana around the wound, she wraps and ties it loosely rather than wrapping it tighter to help stop the bleeding. Well, yeah, because it's Counselor Troy, not Dr. Crusher.
Good
She
one.
wouldn't know.
Good point. When
Thank you.
playing Dodge Durango, Marina Sirtis tried to blow smoke rings, but Michael Dorn cut her off and said, "Stop it. Don't be funnier than me. This is my show." That may explain why Deanna blows smoke in his face instead.
Ooh,
You know what that means. You know what
fucking
that means.
foreplay on set. That's what
Yeah,
that is.
I know.
Okay, Patrick Stewart, out of excitement to direct this episode, got sunburn after forgetting to put on sunblock while shooting the outdoor scenes. Oh, you silly.
Patrick Crusher, in trying to convince Picard to act in her play, tells him that the rehearsal is at 1:30. While she could mean 1:30 a.m., it is well established that the Enterprise department heads, barring a crisis or emergency, operate on a schedule closer to the real world 9 to 5. If so, Crusher's rehearsal would be at 1:30 p.m., which she would have referred to as 13:30 hours.
13:30 hours, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
Say it
Ruined the
right.
episode. The first Trek episode written by Robert Hewitt Wolfe, later to become a prominent writer on the soon to begin Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Deep Throat Nine.
See that when you were saying that, they
Breaks.
say the same jokes and shit, but I love that shit.
I know.
That's what I show up for.
Never
Sturgis was,
change.
yeah, never change.
That's life.
Don't quit your day jobs. Sturgis was originally written to play the dancing girl from the saloon instead of the stranger.
Oh, what a shocker. That was what they were originally going to do. I'm so glad
Yeah,
they changed it. Fuck.
yeah, no doubt.
Although the program takes place in Deadwood, South Dakota, a map of Arizona can be seen in Worf's office. Maybe he's just a fan of Arizona and wanted the map.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
want to go to Deadwood.
It's a real place, I guess.
It is.
Michael Dorn's stunt double. Why did he need a stunt double for this? Rusty McLennan
They
is
actually shot him for the scene.
Oh
Rusty.
yeah.
Oh,
Rusty McLennan is clearly visible during
great
one of the
name.
early holodeck totally scenes, just before Worf is hit with a chair by one of Hollander's henchmen. Oh.
Oh, well, great job, guys. When Dodge Durango, is practicing her quick draw in the sheriff's office, she fails to cock the weapon as she draws. Since most revolvers of the period were single action, the weapon would not fire as she pulls the trigger. That's too detailed. I'm not a
It don't. This
Don't
is
be that
deep
into it.
dive. In the establishing shot of the frontier town, the building at the left is clearly no more than a dozen feet deep.
You know what else goes a dozen
uh,
feet deep? That's terrible.
gonna let you think. Gonna let you think about that one.
I don't know what that means. Could it be? Okay, so before we go further with See It or Skip It, I didn't put in the See It or Skip It for the last one we did, the frame of mind. And I looked it up, and I have it here for us. Frame of
Oh,
mind. Dan said see it. Freak's best performance is Riker. This is one of those cannot miss episodes of TNG. He really looks like he has lost his marbles. And Bill said see it. Best Riker episode ever. Frakes just gets to unleash and do as much over the top as he wants to, and I love this episode. Very
yeah,
fun.
man.
And now for this one, Dan says, see it. This is one of my top 10 TNG episodes. It is so fun. I love the Western music with the TNG theme, the sets, the Enterprise riding off into the sunset at the end. So much fun for me. But yeah, Alexander too. And then Bill said,
And
skip it. I've never enjoyed this episode. I love Westerns. I love Star Trek. I just don't love this. Wow. What do you say?
you know what? I feel the same as Bill.
Okay.
Like I probably like I was semi excited when I saw it was a holodeck episode, and then I was immediately like, "Oh, westerns!" And I think it's the western piece for me,
Mhm.
and the unlikelihood. It doesn't matter. Um, the whole premise, it's just off.
Mhm.
Skip it. You?
I say see it. I think it's fun, light. Brent does some great acting in it. Deanna gets to be a badass instead of a saloon girl.
Yeah.
Um, and Spot is great, as always. Knocked it out of the park. I did not pre-plan any would you rathers, but I'm going to come up with something right on the spot.
I don't know how you do that.
Would you rather do a Western holodeck with Worf and Data, or do a 1930s New York crime with Barkley and Ensign Rowe?
Ah, okay. Well, now you have me worried about the smells.
They're both going to be rough, really.
Kinda. You know, like as much as I would want to hang out with Barkley, I think he'd get old like very quickly because he's such a doofus. And Ensign Rowe, I don't think we would get along. I have to pick the Wharf one.
Mm-hmm.
You? I don't think we'd get along anyway.
I would choose. I would actually, if I was sitting in 10 forward with both of those couples, we were having drinks and trying to make plans for Friday night. And Worf and Data said, "Come join us, Sarah. We got the holodeck doing Western." And then Roe and Barkley were like, "No, join us. We're doing 1930s New York gangster." I'd go with the gangster because the outfits are
No.
cooler. It'd be a
Yeah,
funner scene, and
it's gonna
I
be
can
at
shoot
night
them both
probably.
and do my own thing. Right? So, yeah,
I thought that as well. Like it would be cooler and the outfits are cooler
yeah.
for the gangster one, but yeah.
Here's another question. You know how there's like Western is kind of one of those like shticks that is an easy to costume, easy to it's a genre that's common, right? So if you were to like recreate a world or a style or a what would you what would be something you would create in the holodeck that would be where you could have these different types of scenarios, be it mysteries, romance, exercise, like I don't know.
I've always I've always wanted to experience sort of like the era with those huge so like dresses, women with large hair, the
Marie
dresses.
Antoinette.
Yeah, like Marie Antoinette, but there's also vampires.
Yep.
So that kind of time.
Gothic Victorian
Gothic,
era.
that's exactly it. So
What we do in the shadows.
yes, pretty much. Can I just go to their house?
Yeah,
Uh, it's so good.
I love
Creepy
it.
paper. It's on Disney Plus. We've started rewatching it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Um, what else would I do? Man, this sounds crazy, but just like the coolest water slide park you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get burned from the sun. And
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to walk up a really long, rough concrete hill where I step on a rock on
Mm-hmm.
my bare feet because you
Mm-hmm.
can't bring your
Not good.
sandals. And then
Not
there's
good.
blood, and then I got to go to the front of the line down this slide first.
Oh my God.
What would you create?
I know that I'd want to do a couple of different things 1960s. Like I'd love to see
Mm,
like Swing in London, Twiggy, the Beatles, like or 1960s like early Vegas, like with the Rat Pack, Elvis,
mm,
like that kind of style. Like I love that. Even like 60s Disneyland is just open. Like I just love that genre so much and that time, that era,
yeah,
the clothes, the music, the food, the everything about that mid-century style. So I'd probably have a world like that where you could use it for whatever you want, whether it's like rides or crime or like super cheesy like the Mod Squad. Um, I'd probably, I'd probably be the big, I don't know if I would want like the Harry Potter world in some way. Like
yeah,
that kind of like castles and dragons and like having to chase after like riding a broom or I don't know, chasing
yeah.
after witches and wizards and centaurs,
Hercules time,
minotaurs. Yeah.
ancient Greece.
Merlin,
Merlin.
knights of the round table. Yeah.
Remember when Merlin was trying to calm everyone down at Tournament of Kings and the
Ugh.
fire alarm was going off?
What is this sound? I have never heard this. It must be the gods are angry. Fuck.
That's the
Okay.
year. That's the year I was like, I'm going to find out what soup this is if it kills me. And it just turned out to be Campbell's tomato soup.
Oh, fuck. Everything tastes better when you've been drinking in Vegas. Um, all right. I think we've done a just us for this.
Just us.
This is a long episode.
It is.
So that does it. There we go. Another episode of
That's
Rewind. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'd like to thank the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. There's an app for that. 5-year mission, fan sets. You listeners on Patreon. Listeners not on Patreon. Are you new to podcasts? Did you just find out about this because the Rewind business card from STLV was stuck to the bottom of your shoe? You don't know what's just happened. You're so confused. You don't know what you've listened to, but you want more? Consider joining us on Patreon, where you can get a subscriber reward like a t-shirt and pins and links to other shows that are happening. We'll be back with another TNG episode this Halloween season. I'm thinking something scary like Genesis. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Ooh, that one's
but
creepy.
is it too scary for Haley?
No.
I know.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. XOXO. Gossip Girls.
Coconut.